Ho, ho, ho! Hello there! Well, we have a new book for you today, and that book is Traditions of Christmas. Now, this book actually has four, or is it five? Two, three, four, five different stories inside the book. And I won't read them all right now, but the stories cover all the way from California, Chicago, and then on to New York. The last story, The Tree of Life, takes place at the Rockefeller Plaza in downtown New York City. But today, I thought maybe we would read Santa's New Helper, which is the first story in the book. Oh, and I should point out to you that this one, let's see, it was written by Bill Abrams and illustrated by Carolyn Ewing. And here we go with Santa's New Helper. Once there was a little girl named Beth who could not get to sleep on Christmas Eve. She couldn't help thinking about the Christmas tree in the living room, all trimmed with beautiful lights and bows and ornaments. She could hardly wait for Christmas morning to see all the presents under the tree. But most of all, Beth wanted to stay up and see Santa fill the big stocking her father had helped her pin up on the mantel above the fireplace. She had used one of her mother's long woolen stockings, and she put a little sign with her own name on it so Santa would know it was meant for her gifts. Her parents tucked her into bed, but soon they heard the door to her room creak open, and there was Beth, asking if Santa had come yet. They tucked her in again, but sure enough, Beth came out into the living room a few moments later, rubbing her eyes and asking the same question. After several more times, she was too tired to get out of bed anymore, but she couldn't possibly let her eyes close. Every few minutes, she'd call to her parents through the open door and ask when Santa Claus was coming. At last, Beth became too tired to ask the question anymore. She began to dream a wonderful dream, but she wasn't sure it really was a dream because it seemed so real. It started with the door to her room opening slowly, letting in a little light, and there on the wall was the shadow of a jolly stout man with a beard and a long hat. Who could that be? The shadow was very familiar. Beth sat up in her bed. Of course she knew that the shadow belonged to. It was Santa Claus. He had come at last. She practically leaped out from under her blankets and raced into the hall. And there he was, dressed all in red with his shiny black boots and wide belt, just the way she had always thought of him. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, Beth, he said in his jolly voice. I understand you've been a good little girl this year, and I wonder if you'd like to be my special helper. Would you like that? Santa's helper? Would Beth like that job? She'd like that more than anything else she could dream of. Santa rummaged around inside his big red sack and pulled out a long package wrapped with green paper and a silver bow. Do you suppose if I lifted you up and held you just over the mantel that you could drop this gift into the stocking? Asked Santa. Of course she could. Beth took the long green package, and as he lifted her high above the mantel, she let the gift fall into the stocking. Part of it stuck out from the top. Very good job, Santa called out heartily. Ready for another one? He found a small red box with a white ribbon. This one's smaller, he said. Beth had no trouble dropping the little red box into the stocking. Nor the next gift, something flat wrapped in Christmas tree paper, and still another package, all covered with pretty white doves. When the stocking was bulging with gifts and there was no more room for anything else, Santa set her back down on the floor. I've got to tell you, you've been a mighty good little helper, he said. I might even want you back on the job next year. Now, you better get some rest, little lady. You're going to have a pretty busy day tomorrow. So good night and Merry Christmas. The next morning when she woke up, it was Christmas Day. She dashed out of her room to see what Santa had left her. And when she got to the living room, she couldn't believe her eyes. The first thing she saw was the bulging stocking, just as it looked in her dream. And there was the same long green package with the silver bow. And when she had gotten the stocking down from the mantel and pulled her gifts out onto the rug, she saw the same small red box she had seen in her dream, and the flat one, and the package all covered with doves. Only one thing was different. There was a little envelope addressed to Beth. She opened it up, and she and her mother read it together. It said, "Thank you for being such a good helper and a wonderful little girl, Santa Claus." "Mom," she said, her eyes wide with wonder, "can a dream be real?" She said, her eyes wide with wonder. Oh, okay, we said that. Her mother and father looked at each other and they both smiled. "Sometimes it can, Beth. Sometimes it can." Well, we hope you enjoyed that little story.